Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Healing and Freedom Journey. I am here, your brother from another mother, bringing you insights along the way. I am all about mental, emotional, and relationship health. And if you are too, then you've come to a great place. Today, I want to dive into another area that can become a saying that we can often get lost in, something that we're trying to say we're waiting on God, but behind it, we may be having some things we're not dealing with and need to get real about. So today I want to talk about, are you waiting on the Lord or are you procrastinating? Many times Christians can say things they don't sometimes know what they're saying, and they can become cliches and the depth of meaning can get lost. Sometimes, to be honest, we can just be very super spiritual. We say a lot of things that make talk cheap. And one I want to bring up is this statement that we say, I am just waiting on the Lord. Are you really waiting on God, or are you actually living in a state of perpetual procrastination, especially in a certain area of your life? Are you actually responding to fear? And there's a fear of failure. There's a fear of doing something wrong, making the wrong step, and it's keeping you in chronic passivity. And so I want to dive into this and try to bring some encouragement and insight, because over the years, I've noticed the saying, well, I'm just waiting on the Lord. And I found that it often holds people back from simply from taking a step. And in our life and in our journey, it's really about taking one step at a time. It's not necessarily about jumping from cavern to cavern, leaping off of tall buildings and mountains. It's really a walk. This is a walk and this is a journey. Many of us feel the heaviness that comes about when we procrastinate and we don't take a step in our journey. And I've noticed in my pastoral life, in my journey with helping people navigate their mental and emotional health, that this procrastination issue keeps coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up. And as believers, we can use this statement a lot. I'm waiting on God. I'm just waiting on God. I'm waiting on God for a spouse. Okay, well, what are you about in the meantime? I'm just waiting on the Lord. I feel called. God has called me. Okay, well, so what's happening? What are you doing? I'm just waiting on Him. I'm just waiting on Him. And trust me, I've seen this, and I've seen people in the same situation of life, in the same kind of saying over and over again, and they're stuck in a ditch because we have some distortions in how we believe God makes things happen or how things are supposed to open up. And so I pray that this will be helpful and encouragement for you. Wherever you are in your journey, take a step. Take a step, start practicing, start getting some healthy movement in your life, because many in their passivity, in their delaying steps, fear increases and depression increases. And then they wonder why it feels this darkness. And because this is a life of faith and we're meant to take steps. We were designed to not striving, not in a constant hurried state, slow, one step at a time. It builds momentum. It encourages your faith. And I believe many, their faith needs strengthening and recovery, but they're afraid to take a step. And many who say, I'm waiting on the Lord, they can often refer back to the scripture passage, the very well-known one in Isaiah 40, verse 31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Now, as I'm looking at this, let's take a moment to just get a little bit of context from this. And I'll pull this up on the screen because we know the verse, we often don't know the previous verses. And God says, the word of the Lord speaking here in Isaiah, have you not known, have you not heard, the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth. This is in the previous verses for those of you that are just listening and you can't see what I have on the screen. He neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak. So if you feel weak, man, I'm struggling. My energy's down. I'm low. He says power's available to you. To those who have no might, he increases strength. And he says, even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. Okay, you see this happening, but those who wait on the Lord. Okay, so he's talking about having a energy and a stamina to take the step. And how many of you in your journey, you feel a loss of stamina? You feel a loss of energy. And sometimes what we fall into in our need for safety, in our need for recovery, is we think, you know what? I need rest. And that's true. You need a good sleep pattern. You need days of rest. You need to live a restful life. But sometimes we get lulled into inactivity, passivity. We're not taking a step. And so our lives can kind of hypnotize us into that. We work at desks and we sit at, desks, and then we kind of move from the desk to the couch, we move from the couch to the TV, right? And it just programs our body, our minds, our hearts, our lives into a spiritual lethargy. And then things should just come to us, and I'm just waiting on God. But this waiting is actually very, very active, because when we look at this in the statements that are provided here, what waiting actually means, well, let's just let the scripture speak for itself. Now, I gave you a little background because he's talking about the weariness going faint that you can see, but there's another level of those who are waiting on God. There's an active refreshment that God gives you to be able to receive but step out. And the first thing he says is basically, with those who wait on the Lord, this shows you're waiting on the Lord, is you're recovering and gaining strength. Maybe you've had some weariness, but you're connecting to a God who's never weary, and he's restoring your strength. Many times in our journey, we go, oh, I'm worn out, I'm weary. So we think that 100% of what we need is inactivity to recover us. And this doesn't work for strengthening recovery in any area, both physical and in spiritual. Those of you who maybe have injured something in your physical body, you often have to go through a rehabilitation process. And part of it is not utilizing it to just be still, to stop, to give it recovery. But it's not, I'm going to wait till that's healed to then take a step. There is this crossover where you go, I need to start taking a step. And many of us in our trauma, our pain, the stuff that's happened in our life, we will, God, I'm just waiting on you, and I'm just going to heal here. I need to, and we keep ourselves in a bubble, and we don't realize we have to step out. If you've ever watched somebody in physical rehabilitation, it's actually a very, it's a painful process. They're utilizing that muscle. They're straight, and you can see they're straight because the tendency is not to use it. But that can create some atrophy, and it can actually further weaken the muscle. So one of the things that happens is in our weariness, in our pain, in our battlegrounds, we go, I just want to break. Man, how many of you say, I need a vacation? Then you go on a vacation. You need a vacation from a vacation. You take a day off. Do you notice you'll take days off, or you take seasons, and you're just more tired? Because there is a aspect where it's rest is an inside job. It's an internal mindset. And yes, it's externally shown in taking breaks, in pausing, but we actually have to get back in the game. He's saying you're going to renew your strength. If you're waiting on the Lord, you're actually going to get stronger because you recover, right? You rest that muscle, but then you flex it. Muscles gain strength when you use them, and the muscle tissue gets broken down, then it rests, recovers, you get back into it. And there are many today, the exhortation that you need is get back in the game. Step up, rise up as a soldier. Yeah, but I'm anxious. Yeah, but I'm depressed. Yeah, but I'm tired. But you actually will gain strength by going, I'm going to step up today. I don't have to do a million things, but this one thing in front of me. And really, it's those that wait on the Lord, they're practicing who they are wherever they are. People who wait on the Lord are practicing who they are wherever they are. They're just exercising it. They're stepping out. They're stretching their muscles one layer each day, developing their mentality. The mentality I think of is like, in the movies where you see the guy who he's been on, I'm thinking of like Sylvester Stallone. I'm not sure which movie it is that comes to mind, but they've been wrongfully put in jail and in a jail cell. And while he's in the jail cell, he's doing push-ups. And while he's in the jail cell, he's doing pull-ups. And then they hit the music, right? And there's a sense of that in our journey where we go, well, I'm waiting on the Lord. We're waiting for a circumstance to change. We're waiting for something to happen before we will actually take a step. And if we develop that mentality, we'll wait all our lives. I wouldn't be married. I wouldn't have children and be where I am geographically and where I am and being a blessing to you if I fell for the mindset I saw of I'm waiting on the Lord that many people were pushing in the way that they interpret it. So the first thing, you're recovering and gaining strength. You may have been beat down, hit down. You may be in that category of where you have a weariness and maybe you fell down. And God says, I'm here to give power to you. I'm here to give strength, increasing strength to you in your journey. Okay, first thing, recovering and gaining strength. Secondly, they strategize and take a step, meaning they look and go, what's the next step I need to take? So you recover from pain and struggle, but nurture is there, love is there, you're recovering, you're getting strength, but you mount up. Okay? Now, many people get stuck in the mount up stage. They overthink. And we live in a day and age of technology and the access to knowledge, including AI, and you can ask any question of any thought, and it's just laid out there for you. So we have an incredibly high level of access to knowledge that people never had in recorded history. But there's a problem of low application. So what we have access to doesn't become a part of our life because it becomes a part of your life and your heart by practicing, taking a step, practicing what you know, because the more you know and the less you do, it creates a chasm. And then you start to believe, this doesn't work. This isn't going to work for me. You know, I tried everything. Nothing works. And you develop a reason. You're increasing reasons why you don't take a step. And I had to realize when it was coming through, working through depression, working through financial struggle, working through opportunities not opening up, working through traumatic experiences, massive changes, weariness in life. There's this tendency of I just gotta rest, and we can get lulled into a spiritual passivity where we got to go step up. You got to take the step today and shake yourself out of this lethargy. That's often a loving step to take. So you strategize, meaning there's intentionality of what do I need here? And love helps us to identify what we need to take a step. His grace goes, power is here. The grace of God is in this passage of scripture I'm pointing to here. So, do you find yourself getting stuck in this mount up, overthinking? You need a confirmation. You need God to show me, please give me. You want the roadmap totally laid out. But interesting what the next thing he says. He says, you're going to run. You're basically going to run and not overdo it. So meaning you're going to run, but there's going to be a pacing because you can't run forever. You know, some people, it seems like when you watch them physically run, they have great skills in running. They've cultivated that, but they know when to stop. They know when to rest. There's not a weariness. Running doesn't make them weary. You can go because there's a rest within you because you're utilizing the muscle. Now, this isn't drivenness. Some of you are super driven and you're experiencing, chronic fatigue and burnout, constantly because you're constantly striving. You need to learn how to run at a pace for the long distance because you live in constant 40-yard dashes. And we're running a marathon here. So there's long distance training. And some of you get overwhelmed with running because you haven't developed the muscle. You'll need to develop a ability to have resilience and have spiritual, emotional ability over the long haul, over the marathon. I'm not walking a race to get somewhere in 6 months. This is a long journey. I have long perspective in mind so that at times of running, there's a pacing that's there. It's awesome. You're going to run and not overdo it, basically. Because that's often what our weariness is. Our weariness is we're carrying too much, taking on too much, and we haven't developed a rhythm of rest in our life, of knowing run, pause. Many people just keep running, and they weary themselves because they don't know how to balance it out. But not only that, the promise is here, you're going to walk and not quit, basically. It's like faint, kind of. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint, right? And so you're gonna walk, but you're not gonna quit. And so for many of you, you're tempted to quit. And what does quitting look like? As people, they go, I don't know, I feel like quitting. I go, what does it look like to quit? And a lot of times it looks like just not taking a step. And that just simply increases what they're up against, the fear of it, the looming darkness of it. Do you notice here everything in waiting is actually active? It doesn't say you're going to sit. It doesn't say you're going to wait for something to just fall out of the sky. Everything here involves movement. Now, I teach against chronic busyness, striving, overdoing it, constant pressure, all of that. But for many of us in our journey, there are areas where we're honest. We have to be honest, where we are just procrastinating in the name of I'm waiting on something to change. So what waiting does not mean is we want something to come to us without taking a step. So it's this imagery of God up there, do something, come down here to just make something happen in a situation. God, bring me a job. God, bring me a new relationship. God, get me out of this relationship. God, get me out of this church. God, release me. Many Christians say that. I'm praying about what to do. I'm in a toxic church, but I'm going, God, I'm waiting for you to release me. And they're waiting for a thunderous voice. God, bring me confirmation. We think things in life, many things, should just arrive to us without any resistance. There's a mentality many Christians have that if it's God, everything just works out beautifully and smooth, when it's actually uphill, downhill, left, right, dark, steep, difficult challenges. And so we expect everything that happens that's of God to just be easy and to just arrive to it. And if you believe that, I'm sorry people taught you that. And I'm sorry that anyone portrayed that, because it's inaccurate. Another thing is just this kind of magic. I'm just waiting for magic. I call this more the lottery mentality. We want an opportunity to magically appear. I'm called to ministry. You just want somebody to call you on the phone. I want to write books. You just want somebody to just call you and write a book. You want somebody to give you a position. You want somebody to give you a title. You want somebody to just knock on your door and hand you money. You want a check in the mail. And I'm serious. I've heard these stories over and over and over again in this kind of way. Well, I'm just waiting on God. I'm just believing. Because we kind of teach believing is just this, like, we got to arrive someplace in our mind. I believe. Yeah, I believe. And many people spin out and spin out. I'm not sure if I believe. Maybe I don't believe in it. And they torment themselves. When belief is more about just taking a step in what belief is pointing to. Just take a step. You take a step. So I find myself internally rolling my eyes a lot. Now, if many of you know me, you know I've gotten a lot of comedy out of the TV show The Office. And back when I was on social media, this is many, many years ago, I posted this on my social media account. And if you know this scene, it's a scene where Dwight is actually lying to Michael. And Michael's looking at the camera because he knows what Dwight is saying to him is a lie. And I wrote, this is what when people tell me I'm just waiting on the Lord. That's how I feel. I feel inside, because oftentimes they're not really doing anything. They're not taking any steps. And these steps, there is walking. There is running to this. There is development of our spiritual muscles involved in our healing journey, in our freedom journey, in our mental, emotional, and relationship health. Waiting on the Lord is not sitting passive. It's not just sitting here. I'm just sitting here worshiping. That's awesome. Worship away. Praise away. Connect. Pray. Sit. Be still. Let God nourish you. But even that, even if you soak in God's presence, that's still active. I am saying yes to God's ways and letting it fill my heart so that it empowers me to take a step. In passivity, fear grows. In passivity, depression grows. And then we go, I'll take a step when. I'll take a, well, you know what, when this happens, I'll take a step. So what happens is we develop a culture that is talk with no action. We do a lot of talking, and then we throw in the God show me this, and God still told me this, and we do a lot of jibbity, rat-a-tat-tat. We get into a lot of saying stuff, right? And we post it on our social media account, and we socialize what we need to step into. And believe it or not, the more you talk about it, the more it can actually keep you from doing it. And I talk to people about this in setting goals. So I teach them, there's a step you need to take, talk to yourself, talk to God, but stop talking to everyone about it and just do it. We have to learn as believers to just quietly do each day what we need to do, because we talk about it so much. This is what happens physiologically. When you tell people, I'm going to take this new step in my life because I'm going to work through depression, I'm going to work through anxiety, I'm going to step in this new place. You keep talking about it. Your brain receives an activation as though you did it. It gets a reward because you're telling people, and they give you feedback. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So you feel a reward as though you did it. Then it subsides, and now you're losing motivation to even take the step. Many people are living in chronic passivity, in chronic procrastination. It's surrounding their life. And in prison, whether it's taking a step out of where you live, taking a step out of a work that you're doing, taking a step forward into something new. Start, instead of talking about the book, write the book. I've had to apply this every day in my life. Now, I am actively waiting throughout it all. What am I waiting for? I am expecting, because waiting, that word waiting has an aspect of meaning of expectation. I have an expectation of God doing great things with each thing that I give to him, as far as just taking what I have and taking a step each day, and momentum gets built. Now, whether or not this goes to masses of people or not, that's not my focus. My focus is each day to be faithful to what's in front of me. Is to be active as a husband, be active as a father, be active as a brother from another mother. And so I believe in the power of very small incremental steps that develop momentum. How did I develop my mental and emotional health? Simple things, very fundamental, small increments each day. And if I miss a day, come back to it. Just little things, how I talk to myself, how I care for myself, having timeouts, taking deep breaths, slowing down. The simple things that work, not overwhelming myself, but just each day. Then when it doesn't work out and I have a bad day, learning to recover and mount up my wings, learning to encourage myself. I actually had that this morning. I had to have a Mark DeJesus encouragement moment. And there was a couple just dowdies shouting in my head. And I was like, you know what, doggone it? I'm going to respond to that by taking another step. And part of that was doing this video. And part of that. And I want to encourage you, take your step forward. Otherwise, we're going to constantly live in a talk with no action, and then talk becomes cheap. Waiting on the Lord it's not a cover for fear, meaning that it keeps you from taking a step. Waiting on the Lord can be a cover for fear of failure. Even though we learn by taking a step, it's never failure if you learn. And I say that to people over and over again. It's never failure unless you learn. Yeah, but I had this mistake in my past, this thing. Did you learn? What'd you learn? And most of us don't learn because we're shame-filled. We want to get away from mistakes as quickly as possible. We don't want anyone to know. We don't want anyone to see them. And so we don't learn the beauty that's found in those steps. Yeah, but Mark, last time I did this, okay, that was last time. What'd you learn from it for this time? Can you mount up? What can you learn to mount up and have strength in your wings? I just want to get us to really think about this, where we put off, and we need to take a step. And I know when I say this, there's some people, they're very impulsive. They do things without thinking, or they're very emotional. They make all their decisions on emotion, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about If you have some anger and you have an impulsive thought to go lash out at somebody, that I'm telling you, you need to take a step. It is amazing how sometimes people twist things I'm saying. But I'm talking about the masses of those masses. We live in a high percentage of those who are compulsively overthinking, overchecking, overseeking for confirmation, over needing a word, or over needing this thing, or over needing this, and talking and talking and talking and planning, asking questions. Many of you ask me questions, and then you send another question, and you send another question, and you send another question. And I can tell a step's not being taken. It's just more questions with more questions with more questions. I'm not saying questions are wrong. I'm saying that you can keep asking and asking and asking and don't take a step. I can tell people that are taking a step, and they're working it each day, learning. Many of you are under the influence of just right thinking. This is the world of perfectionism. Just right, but never enough. I got to get this thing just right. I need to get this vision just right. I need to get the confirmation just right. I need to know it. I need to see it. We want that certainty to take a step. Many of you OCDers are like that. You need that absolute certainty before you take a step forward. I need to get this thing totally confirmed, then I'll move forward. And you'll be frustrating yourself because it's a control mechanism. And when you step forward, control gets confronted because you're taking a risk. You're taking a step. You're going, I'm putting my faith into action now. So for you in your life, in your journey, what's the next step that you need to take moving through your fears, moving through what you're afraid of, to step into new territory? Was this a blessing to your life? If it was, would you do me a favor? Click the like button, click subscribe, share it with a friend who can be encouraged, who needs this today. Take steps, folks. You're worth it. You're loved. And your brother from another mother is confirming that. If you want to support these videos, you can go to markdesus.com, click on the donate button, and that will be such a blessing of a one time of any amount, or you can become a monthly supporter in that regard. You can also go to my website, click on the topics page, and you can see all kinds of topics organized, available right now for your healing and freedom journey. My latest book, The OCD Healing Journey, is available right now. You can purchase in a variety of formats. I also am hosting, for those who want to go next level in their journey, the Healing and Freedom Community, where you can get access to lots of training courses, to regular Q&As, and also have access to interaction as well. And right now I'm teaching on the OCD Healing Journey training course in an expansive manner. Well, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. This is your brother from another mother. It's a joy being able to share this with you. I pray that it blessed you. I'll be back with more insights for your healing and freedom journey. But in the meantime,
I'm out.